Hello everyone, I'm John. Welcome back to my channel to learn more science with me. So, I'm going to say what a year it has been. 2022. I won, a good glimpse of my award. So I won the BBC Make a Difference Awards, the environmental category. I've sold some beeswax wraps. What a wild year it has been for me on Science with Joe. And it's not just been so wild for me on Science with Joe. It's been wild for all the countries around the world, really. Most of the countries around the world have had some wild days in 2022 last year. So let's look at 2022, a review. Like we did review 2021, let's do review 2022 and let's look at what we can do to help the planet in 2023. Alright, first of all, got my helpful list here. Let's look at floods. So the first thing we're going to look at is the extreme weather events. And the first one that's on there is floods. So we have Pakistan. So Pakistan had, as you know, one of the worst floods that we could think of in 2022. So the flood water has brought like a disease with it, and people really need aid. So it's not just food, water, and shelter. They also need medicine, a lot of it, because there are lots of people with this bug from the flood water. Then you have New Zealand and Australia. So as you know, so they had some really bad floods in 2021. You can think about those, but in 2022 they actually had one of their worst floods. In Australia, you go in a car, you get submerged, you follow the current, and then little did you know that you're in the bottom of a lake, at the bottom of a lake. So that's like Australia and New Zealand. And then back to my parents' home country, Sri Lanka. In December, very recently, before the new year, they had some really bad floods, which were covering in parts of Colombo. And now let's look at droughts, the second extreme weather event. So we have Europe. I actually did a video about the UK's heat wave, remember, on PowerPoint. So I did a bit about the UK, most about the UK, and a bit on Europe. So as you know, we had some of the worst temperatures in Europe, and the UK actually made its new record since records began for the hottest day ever. So the temperature was like 40.3 degrees Celsius. So that's like what you get in Europe. The US and California is going to steal the next surprise. So in the US, in the summer of 2022, when there was a really bad drought, California, you're going to steal it away, California. It had really bad wildfires. And we're going to look at wildfires really soon. So after the US, we have Africa. Now, you all remember the Madagascar climate famine, the first UN climate famine in 2021. But in the year 2022, Africa as a whole continent actually suffered 4 failing rains, and people are in starvation. And after Africa, we have Australia, as you know. Like Australia, you think of a country like Australia, and then you think about Australia as having floods, fires, and heat waves. They have them all. So Australia had some really bad heat waves, which, like California is going to steal away the show, it also had some really bad wildfires. And they were like worse than the wildfires they had in 2021. Alright, California, Australia, you've stolen the show. Wildfires. So Australia, you know, in that summer with that really bad drought, you have heat waves. It's like when you have drought, you get heat waves. It's like a cycle. It always happens. The Amazon rainforest, the world's largest rainforest. So the Amazon, as you know, in Brazil and Colombia, they've been burning. Basically, people are burning the land so that they can create more space for people to build homes, and they're actually selling land on Facebook, which sounds crazy. And after that, you have Europe. So in Europe, we had really bad during that heat wave, that summer heat wave. We had wildfires in Germany, France, Spain, Portugal, and so those are the wildfires in most of mainland Europe. Now let's look at my home country, the UK. So Scotland and Northern Ireland, and I live in Oxfordshire. And very close to me, there's a county called Berkshire, and they've had some really bad wildfires really close to my home. So after the UK, we have India. Now, India, we said that they've had really bad drought, and you wouldn't expect wildfires there. It's common to have them every once in a while, but the way that they had wildfires last year in 2022 is a whole next level. And then we're going to look at storms. So we've had in the UK, we've had storms, like 3 storms in a week. So we had, let's see my memory, Storm Dudley, Storm Milac, and Storm Eunice. 3 storms in 1 week. How crazy is that? 3 storms in 1 week. After the UK, we have Madagascar and Mozambique. So I'm really bad at pronouncing this cyclone. So it's Cyclone Batsirai, I think that's how you pronounce it. That was the cyclone that hit Madagascar and Mozambique really badly in 2022. Trees falling, and one of their tallest trees, the baobab trees, they were falling down even in that cyclone. And then we have the US. So you might know that in December, they are very close to Christmas actually. They started having this big Arctic storm. So it brought snow and it brought wind, 0 visibility, and they call Florida the American paradise of weather. These houses were completely submerged in waves, basically. So the coastline houses were covered in waves. It was basically something like that. Next level storms. And then we look at landslides. So storms actually help cause landslides. So storms, especially in Brazil, the storms and the heavy rain there had loosened the mud and caused really bad landslides. So that's how Brazil's landslides started to happen. It's the same story in Italy. On the Italian island of Ischia, they had these really bad landslides caused by the storms that they were having and the heavy rains that they had. So, and there's also Kyrgyzstan, which has lots of mountains, and the mountains had these like ice. So like this is a landslide we're looking at. We're looking at ice slides in Kyrgyzstan. So there was lots and lots of ice that was building up on the top of the mountain, and it had to go somewhere. So it basically went downhill. So that's the landslides, and that finishes up all of our extreme weather events. Now let's look at what actions we took. COP27. So COP27 was Conference of Parties' 27th meeting after the Paris Agreement in 2015. That's a mouthful. And then so many of the developing countries, their leaders came, most of them, because they needed to talk about the aid they needed and how developed countries are really looking at them and going ahead of them, and they're not really looking at how much aid they need and what problems they're facing. And then they decided on some good deals. So it was finance and adaptation and some more protecting the environment goals of net zero and 1.5 degrees Celsius. And then, so that was some of the COP27 bits, and I did another video about COP27. So that's COP27. Now let's look at the next coming year, 2023. Let's look at COP28. I think it's going to happen in Dubai. So COP28 is going to be basically Conference of Parties 28th meeting after the Paris Agreement in 2015. So there we're going to make some more agreements. And then now that I have some updates for Science with Joe. So next coming year, I'm going to be doing something in 2023. It's going to be called Habitats Monthly. So every month, for a few months in 2023, we're going to do every month like a short presentation on PowerPoint about different habitats. So I'll be looking forward to that every month on the 8th. And then I also want to give you a big thank you, because we've actually celebrated 2 years of Science with Joe. And I want to say thank you to those who have actually followed me. Just one like anyone who has helped us and is helping the planet, I want to say thank you to them. Because we started in 2020, as you know, lockdown, and we had some really hard times. And now we're all coming together and we're making agreements on the environment. So thank you to all who has helped me on 2 years for Science with Joe. And I really hope you all enjoy your New Year's celebrations. Have a green New Year, and I'll see you next time for the next topic. See you later. Bye.